My friend recently sold his ROG Ally, and because of that, he thought it'd be kind of cool to send me his old Ally mate. This was a pretty cool early Christmas gift, and I'm excited to take a look at this. I've been wanting to check out the Ally mate for a while, but it's pretty expensive, so I want to see if this is kind of worth it for me personally, and if overall this is a pretty cool accessory to have. This is going to be more of a casual review, as this is definitely not what you're going to be getting in the box. I don't know for sure if this is everything or if he's got a couple extras in here, so let's open it up and check it out. If you've been on the fence for a while though, I think you might find this video interesting. Is this going to be a helpful accessory for someone like me that brings a power bank with me every day to work when I bring this unit? Let's put this on my ROG Ally and find out if it's worth it for you. We got a lot of stuff in here to cover, and I'm interested to see how well this is going to fit onto my ROG Ally with the battery bank that I own. Let's grab my ROG Ally and check it out. Special thanks to my friend for sending this over. So I got my ROG Ally here. Let's just hook this in. Looks like it sits in these two little fan vents. That's actually a really nice fit. I went to the top first, then pushed it over on the bottom, and I got it on there pretty good. It's kind of funny how they put these micro SD card slots in there, considering this unit is not playing well with the micro SD cards. I haven't used a micro SD card though ever since upgrading the internal storage. I'm definitely not going to use these slots on my Ally mate, but it sits up there really good and it's not moving anywhere. I like that. A nice thing about this attachment is how you don't really notice it when you're on the front. This is all you're going to notice is this little piece down here at the bottom, but it's so small that it doesn't really stick out. And you don't notice it on the top either, which is really good to see. So we've got that on there. Now we need to find a power bank. I've got two here and I'm kind of interested to see which one's going to fit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the power bank size to see how well it fits in the center. This 65 watt power bank here that I have from INIU is generally the one that I bring. This is a 25,000 milliamp hour battery and it seems to charge the ROG Ally at least 1.5 times. Let's see how this fits. I think that's a pretty good fit. You have room at the sides for your hands, and I don't think this is going to get in the way. So let's stick the attachment on the back of this and get this hooked up to my ROG Ally. Before attaching this to the ROG Ally, you also want to make sure that you're putting the right side down. The USB port here is going to be more on this side, so you want to make sure that the USB port from the power bank is also on this side as well. In the case of this power bank, it's going to be like this. So let's attach that and see how that fits. I do want to see if it fits with the attachment on the back in the official Skull & Co case first. I don't generally use this as I use my TomTalk bag, but it's a good thing to check. That seems to fit in there pretty good. It closes the entire way, and it doesn't seem to get in the way of this little flap here when you're closing it. That's really good to see. We've got a cleaning pad and the adhesive that goes on the back of the battery bank. Let's set this aside because we're going to need this right away. We have another attachment here. There's another cleaning pad in there too. And we have a little mounting bracket. We also have some documentation. This is just a simple thing saying thanks for buying our product. Let's take a closer look at this. So we got this small one here. This bigger one here, what it could be for is actually mounting the unit to the wall. These are for drywall here. And we have some longer screws that would go into these. That would explain why there's a little extra space on this one. So yeah, after checking online, this is definitely the wall mount. This would be a VESA adapter for putting it on the back of your monitor. This is the old adapter where it actually sticks to the unit. But since we have this one here with the clip, we won't be needing this one. But it's nice to have just in case I want to use it down the road. And then of course, we have the one that goes on the battery bank. When you're attaching this, just make sure to have the springs facing down. So you want to go like this. I'm going to try to get this as centered as possible. And just remember, since this is flipped upside down, you want the USB cables on the left. I almost attached this without checking, and that would have been pretty bad because the USB cables would have been on the wrong side. Let's use one of their cleaning wipes to clean the back to make sure it gets stuck on there good. Now that that's dry, we can stick the adapter on. Again, just making sure that the springs are facing down. I am going to do this next part off camera is I want to make sure that I get this straight. But you want to make sure as well that this is not wobbling. So if this is on there good and it's perfectly straight in the center, go ahead and peel that red sticky off and stick it to the back. You also want to make sure, again, just to make sure that your USB cables are on the left here if you're putting it on the back. Because once this is flipped over, they're going to be on the opposite side. One issue that I'm facing here is when pulling this off, it's actually pulling the adhesive off. So it's stuck so well to the sticky that I can't actually pull it off. I'm going to try to get this off here, but for the most part, that's not really good to see. I think I figured out a way to get this off. So you actually have to stick a razor blade. You can also stick a flat bladed screwdriver in, and that seems to get it off pretty easy. So I'm going to peel this off and stick it on. Once that's on there, you can tell it's definitely not going to go anywhere. The INIU power bank is actually kind of interesting because there is a small line here that you can line it up with. I really want to get this as center as possible, and thanks to this small little line down here on the back of the power bank that I'm using, that made it pretty easy. I just lined it up with this line here, and it looks pretty centered, at least to me. You can make small adjustments by turning it like this, but for the most part, once it's on there, it ain't going anywhere. Once you get that on there, you want to find something really large and heavy to put on top of it. There we go. Give that a couple minutes to set, and once we're done here, we can put that on the back of the ROG Ally. Now that that's on there, you can see that that actually fit pretty good. There's also enough room between here so you can get some good ventilation still. This does add a lot of extra weight to the unit depending on the battery bank that you're using. I do also recommend a good angled USB-C connector, something like this. This would work very well. So what I've done is just kind of run the cable behind the power bank here, then gone up. This only blocks the micro SD card reader, but since I'm not using that anyways, that should be absolutely fine. If you had a 90-degree USB-C cable that went straight back, that would probably be even better. I don't really have any of those that I trust, so I won't be using that. With that on there though, it's still pretty good for portability. I can see myself using this a lot at home when I'm sitting on the couch and I don't want to be tethered to a power outlet. This is also really easy to disconnect as well, so if I want to stick this in my bag, I can just disconnect this. It's really easy to disconnect. All you have to do is pull it up, lift it down, and slide it out. To put it in, all you have to do, slide it up, and it's in spot already. So that's pretty easy to get it out. All you have to do, once again, lift it up, swing the bottom out, and you're out. You can stick the power bank in your bag, and the Ally can fit in its case. This isn't adding much to the back of the ROG Ally, so this is a good little system overall. This might not be perfectly straight, but I'm definitely not going to check because that's going to bother me to no end if I got it off ever so slightly. I've spent the last couple days with the Ally Mate, and there's a couple things that I want to talk about with it. First and foremost, I have noticed that this is pretty hard to get off. Not that you're going to need to take this off, but there are a few situations where you do want to remove this, but it is a little tough to get off. Because there's hooks at the top, you do have to pull this off from the bottom, and that also is a little difficult. To get it off from the bottom, you have to kind of like pull this hook up here, then get over this edge to pull it off. I think I'm getting better at it, but it does take a little bit of force to pull it up. This is pretty strong plastic, so that is something to take note of. I do think that the build quality of this is really good either way, so I'm not worried about breaking it as I pull it up. One of the reasons you want to take the Ally Mate off is maybe to stick it onto your dock so you can connect it to the TV. However, when you do use the Ally Mate with your dock, I'll show you what it looks like. Because it does add some height to the bottom, it does make it a little bit more difficult to get that USB cable in up at the top. This is because it's pushing the unit up higher, so the cable has to go up higher itself. It does work, but it does add a lot of strain onto the cable, and I'm not sure that I feel comfortable docking it to my TV with that on there. You do also have to kind of like pull the cable up, so it's kind of yanking out the back, so I really wouldn't recommend leaving this connected when connecting it to your dock. The other thing that I've been kind of worried about is the adhesive itself. I know it's on there firmly, but I guess it's just building trust that I know this is not going to fall off when I'm using it. Let me show you kind of why this worries me. You've got the Ally Mate connected and you're walking around playing a game on it. If you don't get that adhesive on there, and it's not been pushed on strong enough, well, what's going to happen? The battery bank's going to fall, and this battery bank is pretty heavy. It's going to pull this cable out, and what's this cable connected to? This USB port is the only USB port on the ROG Ally, so if this battery falls off, it's going to pull this cable with it. And since there's only one USB port on this device, I do kind of worry that it's going to break that USB port. I don't think this is something that you should really worry about. This is just me being extra worrisome, as this is my favorite handheld at the moment. This glue on here is extremely strong, and I can't state enough how firm that is on there. In fact, once this unit outlives itself, I'm kind of worried about pulling that off, because I think that's going to take a lot of force to get that off there. I think overall though, this has been a really cool little setup, and I really do like it. I do think that this fear is kind of unfounded, as it's definitely not going anywhere. The other thing that I've noticed is because this power bank is a little thicker, you can actually use the power bank as a stand itself. I think this is kind of cool. This is definitely an unintended effect of using this, but it's still kind of neat to see. I got the power bank on the back here, and the power bank is actually holding up the entire unit. That's kind of cool. Thanks to this battery bank as well, you can easily tell what battery level you're sitting at. All I have to do is flip the unit over and it shows me my percentage right on the back here. I will say as well that if you want something a little lighter, if I was holding this up and I wasn't sitting it down on my lap, this does get really heavy pretty quick. This is kind of the setup that you want to have when you're playing somewhere sitting down at like a table or something. You can hold it up, or if you're sitting down, you can put it in your lap. But if you're walking around or if you're holding this up, it does hurt your wrists after about 30 minutes. That's largely in part to the power bank that I use. This is a pretty big power bank, and I'm kind of wondering if I should have used my Baseus power bank instead, because it's a lot lighter than this one. I really do love this setup, and I think it's a great idea. If you're looking to add some more battery to the ROG Ally, definitely look at a solution like this. If the only reason you don't like the ROG Ally is the battery life itself, this is a good way to fix that. And for the price, it's not bad. There's a couple different bundles on their website, but I do think that this is definitely worthwhile if you're having issues with your battery life on the ROG Ally. Thanks again to my friend for sending this out. I've been having a lot of fun with my ROG Ally with this. The little battery puck on the back of the battery bank also still lets it fit nice into my travel bag, so I can still bring that with me when I'm out of the house. This 90-degree power connector here that I have is also really good at minimizing the space of the battery bank itself. You don't see this once it's tucked down behind the back, and because it's slim on the side here, you barely notice the cable on the side either. All in all, I definitely recommend checking out the Ally Mate if the negatives that I've told you don't really seem to bother you. I think it'll get a little bit better at taking this off the device, and it seems to be on there pretty good. The build quality is excellent, and it adds a lot of battery life to the unit itself. All I have to say is just make sure that you're okay with the weight of the battery bank that you put on before you stick that on there. This one was a little heavy for me, but it's still okay to use if I'm putting it on my lap or on the table. Also make sure that you orient this the correct way and make sure it's centered. I'm really grateful this unit has a little guide on the side here, as that's probably not what that was supposed to be for, but it seemed to work out good that way. What do you guys think of the Ally Mate? Make sure to let me know in the comments below. Have you bought one, and what do you think about it so far? Does the Ally Mate fit really well onto your dock if you use it with your TV, or do you just use a hub with it? If you have any questions regarding the Ally Mate, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, and as always, thanks for watching.